are talking just so not stochastic, but a bit different. But I wanted to cover some ideas that we like to see how the mindset is there, how it's here, and using, because I know, we don't have a lot of Albanian people working in Silicon Valley. As we know, Frank, and maybe the lady, the colleague who is also CTO in the ChatGPT. So those two Albanians are there, and we have to use this.
Well, she's a little bit better than me. She's a CTO of OpenAI.
I mean, I will not make differences, but the point is that we can use this transfer of know-how and experience to us. But I think, Frank, something you are doing now, it's also innovation, and you have different companies that your company is consulting. Can you tell us in which direction we are going? What is the point? What is the expectation of company? Where they are focused? Can we have a bit more discussion here?
Sure.
What they are looking, please.
So now again,
in different sectors, because we have different colleagues here.
Now I get very passionate about this. So I personally work, we are a big consultancy company. We are a $36 billion company. We are global presence. French company, Capgemini, or Capgemini as they say in French. But my office is in San Francisco, so I work mostly, actually only with Silicon Valley based organizations, at least in terms of academia and startups. Then my clients are global clients, I have European clients, but whenever they come physically or remotely to Silicon Valley, my job is to introduce them to Silicon Valley technology, not even New York. Imagine how much there is there. So my boss tells me we don't need to talk to any startup in New York because everything we need is here. Anyway, what are the organizations looking for? As I mentioned, I work with these global organizations, so we have to divide and conquer, right? I can't do everything. So I personally work on transportation and logistic and automotive sector clients because of my Volvo experience, and I'm also passionate about it. So that's my vertical, and horizontally I work on most of the technologies out there with my colleagues and subject matter experts. But right now I'm clearly focused only on generative AI, not because it's it's a hype, because we see the applications that our clients can have on generative AI. So I'm happy to share with you some examples. So some information is confidential, so I'm not going into details, but I'll give you some ideas. So basically, we've seen generative AI can have applications in every single area of a business. From customer support, so imagine on IVR systems, where instead of, when you call customer service for Lufthansa or whatever, you're calling to book a flight ticket, you have that terrible voice telling you, this is Lufthansa, press 1 if you want to book a thing, press 2, and you are busy doing something, you hate it, you press the wrong button, and then you have to, you know what I'm talking about. How is that experience? It's terrible.
I will not continue. I will stop it. I will not continue.
So one little trick, most of those IVR systems for US-based companies, are we recorded? Is this recorded? That's fine. It's fine. It's a little trick. Most of those IVR systems for US-based companies, so think about United Airlines or whatsoever, use on the back end a company called Twilio. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. So they build the IVR system. So I don't know if you guys know this, but when you have this robotic voice telling you press 1 and then you wait for what you're actually looking for, and most of the times it's 8, right? You have to wait until 8. If you press 0, what's going to happen? Most of the times. Do you guys know? No, you get straight to the operator. That's it. I always do that. So it works 90% of the times. So little tricks. Anyway, I'm going away from the answer. So IVR systems right now, in my experience, are terrible. Generative AI can clearly improve customer support because First of all, I'm gonna speak or I'm gonna prompt whatever is gonna be the interaction with the generative AI, what's my need. So it's not gonna be kind of, if you need administration, press 1. If you need payment, press 2. No, it's gonna be like what I need, I'll tell you. And based on my voice, based on my sentiment, based on my emotions, based on so many elements that are built behind the models, behind the generative AI, I will have a dedicated experience, friendly, successful, efficient voice. I guess you understand what I'm trying to say. So that's one application. There are hundreds of applications. In the automotive sector, let's go from customer support to quality control. Think about the materials of the cars. Right now, we have, of course, technology checking the materials, but imagine how much we can use artificial intelligence more than generative AI, because it's not everything generative AI, it can be just artificial intelligence, how we can use that to check the quality of the vehicles. We are seeing some of our clients using generative AI in this case for designing the cars of the future. So how many of you have experience or knowledge a little bit on automotive? Someone? I want to see the hands. If you guys do this, I don't see you. All right, some people here. I know you have some experience. You know that when you go on production lines for vehicles, you don't produce the vehicle of next year. You go 2028, 2034, 10 years from now. So currently, how do we know what the drivers, the Gen Zs of 2035, how do we know what type of vehicle they want to drive? Think about it. Yep. It's so hard, right? You have to do research, you have to do design, you have to do customer experience, customer journeys, blah, blah, blah. Now, we have generative AI being used right now by some of the biggest OEMs which are working with us to define based on the data they have, based on the generative models they can, the large language models they have, they can design the car of the future without a designer. And I know what you're thinking. Oh my God, we're not going to have designers anymore. No, it's going to be a different job, right? So this is just two examples how we see generative AI applications. I can keep going and going. But
I think the companies are aware and they wanted to get more into the point.
Yeah.
So they want to move and to transform on this application. This is what you said that, as I understand, is the generative artificial intelligence or is the momentum, the main concentration.
100%, because it's a distinction between human emotion and rationality. Generative AI is going to be emotional at some point, right? It's going to tell you, "Oh, I missed you. Welcome back home, sir." Kind of thing, like a puppy running when you go back home. But right now, it's for sure rational, meaning all the data and all the models I have behind the generative AI models can tell me kind of pretty much certainly what type of car Frank wants to drive. Because he likes this, he likes that, he doesn't like this feature, he likes that color. This is something that a human designer can't know. Make sense?
Yes, of course. It makes sense. And we increase more, let's say, adaptation to the personalized life, personalized healthcare, personalized education, personalized things that I think it's adaptive, it's more efficient, more effective, rather than looking for a solution, but that maybe because of time and combination, you will not find the best. I think this can help us. We can be more optimistic. I think that we get better quality of life.
100%.
Not some problems.
And I didn't mention, I'm here to give you as much value as possible. So please feel free to ask questions. I don't know when, now, later, but I'm here for you guys. I'm not here to to share what I already know. So
Thank you, Frank. Thank you very much. Yes, I mean, we wanted to have a kind of systematic approach from business view, innovation, technology, entrepreneurship. So I think it's an open discussion, and maybe as a Frank called for for interaction, I cannot do differently. So maybe somebody want to say something, ask something, please. Maybe you take the microphone, so it's better to get it.
I didn't mean to interrupt. We can keep
No,
going.
no,
I'm
no,
just want to make sure that the people that, maybe they have some questions.
Hi, Frank. Thanks for coming. We really appreciate it. So I'm Amori. I'm an absolvent here in UBT in Faculty of Management, Business and Economy. I started a startup before 4 months, and yesterday I did a little bit of research for you, and I formed 2 questions, like to align your experience with my needs in this journey. I was a CMO of one of the biggest marketing agencies here in Kosovo, branded when I was in the first year in faculty. And then I was a marketing member in Bow Holding, one of the biggest corporate here in Kosovo. And then I started my own startup. So my first question is, when it comes to pursuing new business ventures and innovation ideas, how do you strike a balance between being realistic about potential risks and challenges while also maintaining an optimistic mindset to seize opportunities and drive success? Because I heard one of the biggest minds of our era, Elon Musk, who said one of the biggest mistakes that he did was wishful thinking. So should I go with the second question, or you're gonna answer the first one?
I'm not sure I heard properly. Can you recap?
Okay.
I'm sorry, because the quality. So what would be the question?
Yeah. So.
No. Tia, did you hear?
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna repeat it, but slowly.
No, it's me. I'm getting old.
So, when it comes to pursuing new business venture and innovation ideas, how do you strike a balance between being realistic about potential risks and challenges while also maintaining an optimistic mindset? Like, when to know how to be realistic and when to know how to be optimistic.
I see.
Make a trade-off between, let's say, controlling the risk, but also pushing your emotion, your ideas forward. So how you see this trade-off? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's not easy to answer. First of all, you already have, you said you sold your startups, right?
Yeah, I started.
So I think you should tell me how to do that, because I haven't sold any startup yet. So I think you have quite experience, but we can maybe share with the rest of the group. But you have a successful story, so congrats. It's not easy to do an exit. That said, I think this is a tough question, because America, especially Silicon Valley, is very strong on pushing a lot. And I'm thinking not small organizations, I'm thinking of Uber, right? Do you remember Uber at the beginning? I think Uber, forget the mess. Like, Uber was solving a huge problem. It was bothering a pretty established category, which is the taxi driver, right? So it was not an easy problem statement. Uber was solving a big problem, but at the same time it was challenging an entire kind of, social, entire worker or situation. Why I'm mentioning Uber? Because for the first 10 years, Uber was making zero money. So how can, I'm not the Uber founder, right? But I know some people at Uber, of course. How can a Uber founder be realistic, as you mentioned, and at the same time, moving the business forward when you know that for 10 years, you are not profitable? I want you guys to think about it. There is no right answer. My feedback will be, is the mindset that the venture capital system has built in the Silicon Valley or in the US. That we're gonna give you money because we know that might be successful in case of the Uber was, but we always forget the 9 out of 10 startups that been funded millions and billions that VCs lost their money. We never, if you think about it, we never talk about those companies. So this is the mindset of a VC, of family offices or private angel investors, that they know they might lose their money, but also they understand that if you put the money in the right place, it could be the next Uber. So the founder, for 10 years, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna be profitable one day. I'm gonna fundraise more money. So it's not easy to answer your question because I can quote one of the president of Y Combinator, which is the largest, best, biggest business, you know them, business accelerator in the world. One of the articles, blog articles that he wrote was clearly saying, don't fall in love with your product. That's one important message that any startup founder should know. If you fall in love with your product, you might end up losing the focus and you might end up wasting 3, 4, 5 years of your life because you get too emotional. So Americans are very good in understanding what's going to be working and what's not. It's not because it's your little baby, your little toy. You have to let it go, right? Like kids, they go to university, your parents, they are not here. So you should do the same thing with your company or product. Sorry, very long answer again.
Yeah, but I think we had also the Elon Musk that he has such a balance between.
You really want me to talk about Elon Musk? Because that's going to be tough.
Maybe just the case that sometimes you drive in different areas,
Yeah.
different ways, so there is no balance.
So you want me to talk about Elon?
It's not my request, but if you consider.
I would love to talk. Do you guys want me to talk about Elon Musk?
Yeah.
I would love to. Because yesterday we were talking about that. It was like, this guy is crazy. Clearly is now the richest guy on earth, probably at the universe, as he likes to say. No, we were talking about yesterday about his story. It's incredible, right? How he sees things not linearly. That's the biggest problem innovators have. We see things A, B, C, D. We see things like this, and he makes a rocket, right? I was sharing with you yesterday that he founded PayPal, right? He was part of the PayPal mafia back in 2000. He went through the tech bubble in the 2000. He became billionaire very young, and someday he said, I want to build electric vehicles, self-driving cars. And he had zero experience in the automotive. So this is enough already to say he should have done it. You have zero experience, you are 29 years old, whatever was his age. You are not in Detroit at Ford or whatever, in Turin in Italy, or in Volkswagen area in Germany. You are in Silicon Valley and now you want to build an automotive company. So I think that's enough to say, okay, this is the closest hospital. Please go to, psychology and let's have, stay there. You're not well. You're not feeling well right now. So he did that. On top of that, at the beginning, you guys might remember Tesla was not doing good at all. Vehicles were crashing. Actually, it took forever to get the first Tesla into the market. So time to market in automotive is pretty important. You can't produce a car, wait 20 years for that. So he was playing with these prototypes, nothing was working. At some point, he needed money, right? And no investor was giving him money anymore. Please interrupt me if you know this story already. So at some point, what he did, he put his own money. And that's very, very rare in Silicon Valley. In Silicon Valley, you use other people's money. Banks, investors, you don't use your money. So he became a millionaire out of nowhere with PayPal. He was willing to he was basically broke. He was in debt. Imagine you founded PayPal, you can go on vacation for the rest of your life. He became so broke, he lost all his friends. No one was talking to him because I'm like, man, you have to stop. You are crazy. You gotta stop this. You can't build a self-driving car. You can't. You're just wasting money. Investors are, going away, and that's what makes the difference between Elon Musk and other people. He's like, nope, I'll do it. So he put his own money, and we know the rest of the story. Then now he's the largest automotive company by capitalization in the world. So just an example on how, if you have a vision, you can change the world. On top of building rockets, building underground transportation systems in LA.
Yeah, I think this is what entrepreneurship make unique, that you cannot have one model, but it is a mix of risk taking, passion, things that, and then we have such a crazy successful components, and I think it's important very much. Thank you very much. Another question from somebody else? Okay. Yes. Okay, Elite, and then Artyom, and then we have, yeah.
It's amazing, you know the people by names.
Who? Okay, please, Artyom.
Hello, I am Artyana. I have a question for you.
Can you speak louder? Sorry.
Okay, sorry. How can we promote open innovation mindset here in Kosovo? Do you have any tips or tricks? How to promote
As
this?
Albanian, some tricks
Like-
for Kosovo.
You want the Albanian answer? Oh my God.
Albanian answer,
There are so many
which
tricks.
we can succeed. We wanted to have answer to succeed.
That's so many tricks.
Because if we take 100% Silicon Valley mindset, maybe it's not working, but adaptation.
yeah, if I
Not just
give-
from your perspective.
No, you're right. If I give you the San Francisco answer, it's not right. The Albanian answer is better. I wasn't prepared for this. No, I honestly think international collaboration, right? That sounds basic, but having not Frank, who is Frank, but having people like me coming over from all over the world at UBT, that's the only way I think Kosovo, UBT, you guys can, expand your vision, open your mind and open to opportunities, right? Because people that will come here, maybe they have their own business, maybe they have their own. I strongly believe in the network effect. The 7 degrees of the networks, that you can, whatever is the saying, that you can reach out to anyone within 7 layers within your network. I strongly believe in that. That's why I built ecosystems when I was in Italy. That's why by building an ecosystem in Italy, I built the largest startup grind, which is a global startup community, founded in San Francisco. I built that network in Italy. By building that, I had access to San Francisco, so they noticed me and they were like, oh, you are interesting, right? So I believe strongly in the network effect. So if you guys can bring here more professors, business people, academia, governments, I think it's a good way to do open innovation. Because from the other perspective, the labs, the 5G lab, the cloud access, you're doing the right things, right? So I will do more and more events, like people need to know about UBT and how good is UBT. In Italy we have the same, probably it's in Kosovo as well, like no matter how many things you do, if nobody knows about it, you never done it, right? So I think your challenge will be, how can UBT be out there? How can be your voice out there? And I think part of that is by organizing international events, international conference, digital nomad festival, hackathons, bringing startups from all over the world. I can talk forever, but I guess you got the point.
Great, so you get more energy now, right?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Great.
Yeah. Give people feta cheese, give people Albanian food and Kosovan food. That's another attractive thing, Also mixed with the culture that you have. Because this can't be, it doesn't want to be, I think, Silicon Valley. Because when you go to Silicon Valley, it's all beautiful and perfect, but the food is terrible. People are not nice as in Kosovo. So I think it's important you keep your own traditions and your, culture, as well as open yourself to the world, kind of thing.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm Elita. And, I also, like the colleague there, read a bit about your work and your journey, kind of, and I found an old Italian interview that you did.
Oh my God.
And
What did I say?
you talked about your journey. It was very interesting. I think something that really struck me was that I think you talked about how in the beginning of your journey, kind of, you lost your passion maybe about technology and about being involved in that field. And then you went on to do so many things, so much work that is not comparative to where you are right now. So I kind of wanted to ask, because now you are working with technology. So how did that kind of journey go from being kind of demotivated
Wow.
to work there to doing so many jobs and then now you're here?
I'm scared, guys. You work for the CIA. What, like, dang. I should remove that material from online. It's still online? I completely forgot about that interview. I don't even know exactly which one you're referring, but I know what you're talking about. I can't believe I shared that on the video, my depression. So, all right, it's online.
Sorry to bring up.
That's fine. Memories. Probably, as you said, that was in Italy, and Italy gave me a lot, gave me education, gave me so many things. But I got into I think the socialist trap. We were talking about this. I don't care. I can say it. Italy is a socialist country. You guys know that? It's not a democracy. Everyone's like, Frank, what you saying? I mean that in the sense that the system, the way it's built, you are expected, you as a student or as a young entrepreneur, you expect the government to give you a job, you expect the government to give you clients if you have a business. So many things are, let's say, strange compared to a capitalistic system, which is the US. Long story short, I was depressed at that one point of time because I had a small consultancy company. Yeah, I've done that too for 3 years in Italy. So my clients, I was selling them corporate innovation programs. And I was seeing that most of my clients were doing innovation theater. Do you know what is innovation theater? So you do innovation just to tell people that you are innovating, which is basically a marketing branch of your business, but it's not even close to prototyping, building, testing, launching products, softwares, and etc. So I'm not saying every client, but most of my clients were doing innovation theater. So I'm like, and I was young, so I'm like, I don't like this anymore. I don't like technology. I don't know why I said that. I don't like innovation because I was getting into that system of, yeah, let's do an event, let's invite Frank, let's talk, let's run an hackathon, and nothing happens after that, No product is built, no customer is being satisfied, no sales, no fundraising. So everything was a theater, everything was fake. So that's why I guess I gave that interview. I'm like, I don't like this anymore. I want to do something different. But I was, I think, tired of the Italian ecosystem, at least my experience. Then I went to Silicon Valley. I'm like, oh my God, there is some theater here, but there is a lot of actual, technologies. I was sharing with you one of the coolest things I see right now. I can take a taxi, self-driving taxi, right? I can take a cab in San Francisco. There is no driver. Like, that's not innovation theater. That's Google. That's Walmart that invested in Cruise, this company. So they build a real product, a real software and hardware with the, clearly the car, that you call it, arrives, pull over, you jump in, it takes you to the destination, you are on the back seats, you can play the music you like, you can watch your videos, like a flying experience. If you think about flying, it's almost a self-driving experience because you don't see the pilot, you don't know the pilot, right? You know there is a pilot, but what if there was no pilot? Have you ever thought about it? Maybe in the future there's gonna be no pilot. And I'm not an aircraft pilot, but we know very well that I would say 90% of the time, the flight is on self-flying mode. The pilot just takes off and lands, or some emergency, whatever happens, turbulence. So in San Francisco, I have access to that, a self-driving car that takes me anywhere in the city. So I got passionate again, because I'm like, this is not theater, this is real.
Thank you. So I think we are still passionate about technology.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so much.
Another question or remarks or somebody?
1, 2.
Please.
Thank you for sharing your experiences with us. My name is Diskutim, a lecturer in Faculty of Business Management and Economy. I would like to ask you questions about innovation in small firms, because most of companies in Kosovo and Albania as well are small size. Do you have any suggestions how to create an ecosystem that supports small firms to generate more innovation? Because their potential in Kosovo and Albania remains still untapped. As we already know, in development economies, they generate many innovation and play a crucial role in generation of innovations. Thank you.
Thank you. So, just to understand, if I understand the question properly, you said innovation in small businesses? Okay.
Small scale.
Any industry, I'm guessing, does. It's a size problem, right?
Yes.
Not.
Because most of the companies, for example, in Kosovo, they are small and medium, mostly micro companies. I know the colleague who worked in the ministry, we had before 2 years only 22 companies or 3 who have more than 300 staff.
Yeah.
So most of the companies are very small. This can be also related with Albania, for example, in the region.
Yeah.
And we say how we can increase this concept for small innovation base, so small scale, because maybe you cannot compete with the biggest.
Well, I've seen this also at UBT, that being small is an advantage, right? At the beginning, being small, it's an advantage. That's why I know Italian market very well, so I wish I could mention more Kosovian companies, but I don't know much. It's my first time here, right? So hopefully I'll be learning more about the market. But 98% of companies in Italy are small, medium-sized. Can you speak louder? Right. So that's the message I'm expecting. Probably in Kosovo is the same, but Italy is, the second largest manufacturing country in Europe. So it's not such a small economy, but 98% of companies are small and medium. And by definition, small company in Italy is from 1 to 10 employees, and medium is, 1 to 25, and medium companies are 25 to 250 or 500, I don't remember, employees. So very small companies, 98% of that creates the economy that Italy has. So that's another statistic that shows you that you don't have to have just large organizations and corporates to be successful. Why so? This is more an economic answer than an innovation answer, I would say. It's because you can test and prototype things quickly. You can work more in agile mode, right? What you guys are doing here with the smart manufacturing that you show me in the campus. So you guys should be very, very proud of it. I'm also gonna quote again one of the Y Combinator founders. One of the books or blog articles he wrote, you should read it. It's very interesting. It's 15 years old now, but it's always that content that is gonna be valid forever, kind of thing. The title is "Do Things That Don't Scale." So he was mentoring startups to do things that don't scale, and that's a very provocative title, because every venture capital tell you, is your product gonna scale? Is your product gonna be global? And in that blog post, he explains why at the very beginning it's important that you stay small, because you can test, prototype, you can change your business model. So to answer your question on how important it is to stay small, once you become big, then you can't change your business model anymore. It's gonna take people like me, big consultancy company, kind of like, all right, let's change all the systems, let's go to the cloud. It's gonna take 10 years or 5 years migration program. I guess you see the point. So staying small, it could be an advantage, especially in innovation. When you are too big, you don't innovate anymore, because you are too big. You have processes, you have systems that need to talk to each other. You as a system engineer, part of your background, you know very well what I'm talking about. So being big, it doesn't mean it's an advantage. I hope I answer your question.
Great. Thank you very much. Last question?
What do you mean last? Already is over? I'm here for you guys. Stay all day.
Yes. Maybe I see that we are thinking more, but if you have any thoughts, would be good to share with us or to interact. maybe because we are an education system here, talents, competences. What do you think? What is more now asked in the area you're working? What do you think? Because this is also for us interesting how to make a positioning in the profiles, in the competences, in the future. Sorry, and it would be very nice to get some feedback from you, because we are applying to hire from you there, and it would be nice to see, or we are prepared, or we prepare the right people with the right competence, with the right position.
So I did a high school in computer science, so I could have been the best software engineer in the world, and I decided not to. That's the biggest regret of my life. Just kidding. I love my work, but the answer is clear. You know, I wish I could say we need business people, sales people now. We need software engineers. That's obvious. And because I live and work in a tech ecosystem, right? Other areas, they're gonna need, you know, other type of experiences, other type of skills. In San Francisco, if you are a software engineer, you can choose your job, you can choose your salary, you can choose your vacation, you can do whatever you want. So number one is clearly software engineers. They are never enough. There is always a demand. You know, they are outsourcing in India, in Ukraine, because there is not enough talent in the Bay Area, which is incredible, best university in the world. Still, they can't provide enough supply of software engineers. Data scientists, especially recently, but even a few years ago, it's a very asked job position. More recent, I would say, I'm going by titles, right? I would say prompt engineering. That's something that we've seen exploding with generative AI. Who knows what I'm talking about? See, what is a prompt engineer does? Exactly, because Silicon Valley is like, oh, let's create a new role. Doesn't exist. So prompt engineer is it's a mix. This is my definition, right? Because we're still understanding what's going on. It's a mix of a software engineer, data scientist, person, as well as someone that understands the languages, the linguistic, and etc. So is the engineer that trains the AI models on what is the best prompts that someone, when interacts with an artificial intelligence such as ChatGPT, what are the best prompts, words, terms to use in order to give an answer. So that's a role that right now you can find a job like this overnight. And I can keep going and going, but job is not a problem.
This means that we discussed it with the language perspective of behavior, psychology.
I think it's off, so.
So I said that this is as a kind of conclusion that there is also needs for all the professions, but interlinked with let's say,
and the good news
kind
is
of interdisciplinarity approach.
For this university, the good news is that these roles could be done remotely. You don't have to be in Silicon Valley unless you want to go. But if you become a very good data scientist, you can work from here. You can actually create a small team here, right? Or a software engineer or a prompt engineer. You don't have to be in Silicon Valley, for sure. We have 100,000 people in India, software engineers.
How much?
100,000. 1/4 of our workforce is in India.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
we are proud that we have 1,000 students in computer science and information system, but 100,000 is a bit quite large. Maybe if we increase the leverage smart and the quantity, maybe we can come to 50,000.
Yeah, but still.
But not still.
We have global clients, so these 100,000 people, they serve global market. So I think, Kosovo can serve, let's say, one market maybe, or one industry. That would be enough, yes, to create value.
Absolutely. Any other discussion? Azam, please. Can you take the microphone? Sorry that I said once, but I think we have even 1.5 hours. The time is going very fast.
I can stay.
Frank, and we wanted this reason to have you more often here. So we
I like the
create
idea.
kind of process.
Should I come back to Kosovo? Yes, no? They said yes.
Yes.
This is my Albanian side. Like, see? They
Yes.
said yes. So
Exactly.
invite me next year.
Exactly.
I have a question. There are a lot of people that they think that if they innovate something and this may change the industry, for example, like changing the cars from the use of the fuel to the electrical cars, this innovation will never be implemented because the companies like, for example, fuel producers, they are so strong that they will stop or kill any idea that they will somehow damage their business. And a lot of young people think that, okay, any innovation, it should go through any big institute like, for example, Silicon Valley, or what do you think? Is it possible that such big innovation to go even without being part of any big institution like Silicon Valley?
I think there are two questions there. You were talking about someone that is not going to like innovation, is going to block innovation. You
Yes.
mentioned the oil and gas companies, for
Yes,
example.
how is this, is really this a risk, or is just like a talk?
You know, like for example, automotive e-cars, from the function they have been known from maybe early 50 or so on, but they not practices because of maybe kind of global interest.
The big lobbies.
Or my naive concept is in pharmacy. Maybe there are big companies in pharmacy, they control the concept of product development, and maybe you cannot jump very easy.
Well, some people
into
say they
innovation.
could-
Do you feel this can be controlled a bit, or it's not?
Well, that's a fact. There are lobbies, there are money involved in pharmaceutical, there are billions, you know, like there is a pretty big barrier to entry that market, right? Same thing with oil and gas. You know, these people, I'm thinking about the Middle East, what's their economy? Oil and gas, right? So of course you're gonna have some barriers to entry. The good news is that technology can be stopped. And might sound naive, but that's how it is. You know, 100 years ago, people didn't want cars. I'm like, no, I want my horse. And Mr. Ford said, no, sorry, let's build a car. And so many people were fighting that. So I think when you innovate, you have to distinguish between innovation and invention. And this is a very basic concept. But when I talk to startups, they always tell me, oh my God, I have to build something new. This is already on the market. I'm like, you're not an inventor. You're not Nikola Tesla. You can innovate without being an inventor, right? So there are so many things in current economy, even just if we take the education system, that can be improved. And you're going to have some barriers, but at the same time, you know that there is room for innovation. So I don't see a big problem in terms of, you know, having oil and gas companies and pharmaceutical companies doing that. If you think about the COVID experience, you know, one of the vaccines was from a startup. It was not from, one was from Pfizer, the other one was from Moderna. Moderna is a startup, right? And they built a vaccine. That's one example. I don't know. You know, my thinking is all over.
No, it's exactly. I think also there is a hope for young generation, all the people, talent people in Africa and Europe, whatever. If they have a good idea, they can come closer to implementation of a kind of prototyping, because the costs are lower than before. In the industrial revolution, you have to have big money to buy a robot or have a machine or so. So today you can have deal with software and different things. So in this type of digitalization format, I think it's more hope for people who can maybe reach something.
Yeah,
in
but
a
just a
better way.
basic example, I'll be very short. You can have access to me right now. You know, I'm on LinkedIn, you add me, boom, you have access to Silicon Valley. Like 20 years ago, I don't know, you have to fly to Silicon Valley, you don't have the money, you need a visa, blah, blah, blah. today you met me, you asked me, you know, in 6 months, you're gonna like, oh, I saw that you know this person in San Francisco. Can you introduce me to Berkeley? You understand what you're saying? It's like now we have access to everything and everyone.
No, I think it's a hope. It's a better situation. I think you wanted to make as another question. Yeah, if you want, so we will conclude with you because.
So I think we have another question here.
Yeah. The second question.
Yeah, my second question was, I heard Sam Altman once said that if you want to have a successful startup, you should expand your network and create a new network that would help you to expand, to increase your startup. And my question is, can you help me with some best practices how to expand my network in big markets like in USA, Canada, Europe, Dubai, etc. Because here in Kosovo, I think I created like a little bit like a strong network, but I'm like having some problems to create a network outside of our boundaries. Thank you.
So the question is how to build a valuable international network.
Global network.
So
for people like from Kosovo, from a small state.
Well, I'm from Albania, so I have the same problem, right? Every time I meet someone, I tell them I'm from Albania. They were like, "Where in Asia?" I'm like, "All right, forget it. I'm from Italy." You know, so people don't know where is Albania, where is Kosovo, and this is real. You know, I feel bad. I'm like, are you kidding me? Did you? Because they don't study geography, I guess. Whatever. I love the saying that your network is your net worth, right? So the more powerful is your network, the more money, value you will create. But the network is a tricky space. You have to get, right, the trust, and if you lose the trust, especially in Silicon Valley, especially VC people, they have a good memory, unfortunately. So you have to be very careful on what you do and what you ask. You don't want to reach to the network too early or too late and burn your bridges. To be more practical, I think you have to be humble. Like, you have to bother people. You have to care about what they're gonna say. So when I was looking for a job before joining Volvo, I don't know how many people I was bothering. Like, every day I was, LinkedIn, email. Everyone I was meeting, I'm like, I need a job, I need a job, I need a job. So I was telling him, they gave me a job because they couldn't sustain me anymore. I'm like, yeah, get a job, just stop, right? So if you have that inside of you, and I know for sure that Kosovo and Albanian people have that hunger, you can create a good, very valuable network. One other side of the answer is also the value creation side of things, meaning you don't want to reach out to people asking for what you need. In your case, I don't know, fundraising, you need market access to the US, I don't know what could be your case. You reach out to people understanding what they need. So you have to touch their emotions in order for them to have your attentions. So your attention, these are very basic concepts, but when we are so much engaged, so much into our need to have a job in my case, or fundraising in your case, we kind of forget of these social dynamics, psychological dynamics. This is not my field, because I'm business, I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist, but it's something that I learned by doing. I learned on the field. So I never reached to someone asking for something. I reached to someone, I do the homework like you did. Like, I saw your video and you were talking shit about innovation. Now you have my attention. So that's how you build your network. That's my experience. That's how I build my global network. I don't know if that is a satisfying answer, but I will never reach to someone asking for something. Why should someone get back to you unless you are a genius? I'm like, I have $1 billion idea. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to listen. That's very rare. You better bring some value to someone first, kind of thing.
If you bring some value,
Then you have my attention. Then you have my attention, right? You need people's attention. Right now, it's so much going on. We don't have time for attention. Attention span is 1.9 seconds per every single person. So basically, every 1.9 seconds, I'm thinking about something else. Between social media, emails, my phone has been vibrating all this time. You know, how can I get a random attention from a, sorry, I say this in a nice way, right? From a random person from Kosovo reaching out to me. There is no way you're gonna get my attention. Does make sense. It's not because it's Kosovo, it's anyone. Could be anywhere in the world. So make sure you understand what is the person doing and what you can provide to them. Not in terms of services, you're not selling. That's the worst. You get a message on LinkedIn, I know you need my service, I'm creating value for you. Yeah, sure. No.
Great.
My name is Mohamed. Thank you for being here today. So I have a question about open innovation. So on my view, a good example of, or a good model of open innovation, or let's say in support of open innovation, is a collaboration between academia and industry. Also, you mentioned something that we should organize more conferences, also hackathons and so on. So I have a question about a long-term view, for let's say for the next 5 or 10 years. What are the main points or direction that we as academia should focus to support the innovation?
Well, in Kosovo, from what I've seen, because before coming here, I've done some research, right? Like, I'm here with pleasure, but, you know, also I have to value my time. So before coming, I'm like, where I'm going? What is UBT, right? So I think what I've seen in Kosovo, you are in a very good shape being at UBT, because I see you have created with, you know, your rector and as well as, you know, all the academia staff, you have created a path to have those collaborations with industries, you know, within the labs, the research, the medical devices that you have here, you know, and I've spent only a few hours, so I'm sure there is much more that I haven't seen. So I think you are in the right trajectory in creating that relationship with the industry. What will be the next step, as you said, in the 5 years from now kind of thing, is bringing talents inside those organizations, making sure that those organizations have access to your research, as well as building. I'm a biggest startup fan, because of course that's my background. So how can organizations, even if they are small, build new companies, new spin-offs, new experiments throughout UBT University? How can professors here launch their own business without losing their academia path, without losing the publications kind of priorities kind of thing? But at the same time, how we can give professors the tools, the skills, and the talents to build new businesses? How we can patent and have our inventions out there in the world being open access, accessible? That's a very long list of things that I think you could do, and you're already probably doing at UBT.
Next, within a year, everybody a company.
Everybody
So
what?
it doesn't matter, registration is take just a few minutes. And then we have the first quantitative indicator, we have every professor a company.
Yes.
And the second, then I think we get, yeah, this is good for us, getting more parts. Yeah, thank you very much. I think this is very good what is linking us with UBT concepts. Having a kind of good infrastructure now with very good expertise, professorship, staff and so on. I think now we have to more and more in impact. So we have impacts, we show some impacts, but I think exactly now the flow of more productivity in startups makes sense to staff and students, and also inviting all the startups staying with us here. So not supporting outside, but we are creating some infrastructure more that they can stay and be part of the entire ecosystem for longer. So I think this is what we are thinking and dreaming to complete this process and so on. So and I think we will get some support from you. some pushing in the mindset and in this idea.
I'm happy,
because it's a
I'm
great
happy to have this country
I
as
asked Frank because he's as a PhD and so on to be somehow part of UBT in the sense of advisory board or kind of visiting professor, somehow that we have a permanent link and so on, because really this internationalization, this transdisciplinarity approach, it's very important to stay, act locally but being active globally and interact and have a spirit that even we are in Kosovo, we are living in Silicon Valley, so virtually interacting and having a feeling that we are living in a global. I think Kosovo has a more liberalization now from the mobility.
Yes.
From the next year, I think we will get more freedom to have, especially the short visits, 1 week company visit. So there is no need for a lot of application, and this creates another great opportunity that we can move forward. So I think because Frank has to be back to Albania and then back to
Because
the
this is a
family.
fun fact, but at 5 p.m. I start working, because in San Francisco it's 8 a.m. So I have to drive back to Tirana and start working. This is my night time.
Thank you very much for coming. And,
Thank you.